Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
And we want to thank our newest Patreon.
We want to say a huge thank you to Angelo. Hi, Angelo.
Hi, Angelo. Hope everybody is doing well out there today. Again, every video we put up on Patreon, and there are exclusives over there every 2 or 3 days. Now, I wanted to just share this before we look at some insane, incredible, quote-unquote, weather. Geoengineering. Can we control the weather? This is from Live Science, which is affiliated with NASA. So, it's again part of the never give a straight answer system that we find ourselves in. And this is talking about different technologies already existing and in the future. And this is from 2022, January 2022. That can definitely influence, change, or actually completely manipulate the weather. As you're looking at the Mediterranean, by the way, this is the Black Sea over here and the Caspian Sea over here. Yes, there's many forms that already are in use. Cloud seeding, yes. In fact, I've shown declassified documents on weather control that goes back to like 1898. 1898, yeah. Seriously. Well, we've talked about Operation Popeye many, many times, and that was, again, during the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War ran in the 60s and the 70s, and it literally did flood out entire villages in Vietnam. It wiped out crops. It swept away people. It swept away animals. So many years ago. 50 plus years ago. Can you imagine what we can do now? Marine geoengineering. Look at this. Cloud whitening towers. It is an electromagnetic universe after all. Ocean fertilization. Iceberg builders. Interesting. Artificial upwelling. Yes, in honeycomb shape. As above, so below, as within, so without.
Right. So they look to see what nature does, and then they mimic that, even down to the honeycomb shape here. I'm sure that has some sort of benefit for them, or they wouldn't be choosing that shape. It's very curious.
That grayish color that we see all the time, like I'm looking at now. There's these funny gray clouds. And last night, I saw a persistent contrail that was abnormal in the middle of the night as we were letting the dogs out. And I feel they have one purpose at night. It's not to block out the light from the moon. It's to there's a lot of people getting sick lately, isn't there?
There is. People and pets getting sick, so that's weird.
But again, when you have that aluminum kind of look up in the sky, it does reflect energy back out into space. And as we've said, the energy is coming in from the sun and also from cosmic origins. And it's all about turning on human DNA and turning on the DNA of everything on the planet, as this is a time of change, real change. So they even talk about geoengineering in space. How much geoengineering in space goes on, how much is really going on with all the satellites. As we know, Elon has so many satellites out there. And then there's satellites that have been in place before this whole modern era, as we've talked about in the past, the Black Knight and the White Knight satellites. And again, I encourage everybody, if you go to that little search bar on our channel, whether it's EEARTS or Evolutionary, or you can do just a regular YouTube search and type in Black Knight satellite, and you're going to find some interesting information that there is what appears to be actually two and probably many more artificial satellites in the orbit of the Earth that have been there for a very, very long time. Because, again, we've never been alone. We're not from here. Actually, there's really nothing that's here that's truly from here when you get down to it, as many have watched Star Trek and gotten the whole concept of terraforming. It goes on all the time on many different wavelengths, many different scales. And yes, this is absolutely a form of modification of the natural order of things. This is from the Black Vault, and lots of declassified documents over here. If you guys have never seen the Black Vault, it's great. There's a treasure trove of information here, as you can go into all sorts of Freedom of Information Act documents. As you see, congressional, senatorial correspondences, controversies, the E word that we better not talk about, government accountability. It goes on and on and on. Cryptology, you name it. It's all here. Space, environmental, war issues as well. Fascinating declassified documents that, again, show weather modification is absolutely real. It's happening big time. And you can see this. Weather, the ultimate weapon. Is it the ultimate weapon? I just wanted to give a taste of this so that when we look at what's going on in the Black Sea, which, again, is the central point of the Ukrainian-Russian war, this current war that's going on, and we listen to their coding, the waves measured 10 meters, 33 feet. 33. There's that number again, right? How old was Jesus? 33. How many degrees in masonry? 33. Vertebrae in the human spine? 33. It includes some fused. Is this Mother Nature's revenge for the Russians blowing up the Kakova Dam? Or is this a response from a government? This is the greatest flooding they've seen in the area in like 100 years. Massive flooding going on. And when we look deeper into this flooding, look at this. This is, again, the Black Sea. This is not an ocean. When do you see 33-foot waves in the sea like this? You would need some sort of monster cyclonic event going on, one would think. There are tsunamis that are wind generated. We've covered that over the years as well. And yes, there is a pole reversal, a magnetic pole reversal underway. But I truly believe they use all these things, all these different discoveries that humans make. Look at that sea in the background and then these massive waves. They use all these things to give excuses. So people will think, okay, well, maybe it's Planet X. Maybe it's, the Nemesis system. And there's so much information and disinformation out there on all these things that we got to kind of feel into it. What does this feel like to you? What does it feel like to you? And then what else is going on? Look at some of this destruction here. Now, this is occupied Crimea, Russian digging miles of trenches and fortifications out of sand along its beaches. They're all washed away. So, is it just a coincidence?
I know. And then we're looking at these things here, those dragon teeth, the bunkers, trench network, wood used to reinforce trenches. What are they trying to speak about here? And what has happened to that? And I'm looking at this, and I don't think that they could have stamped their name any clearer on this about what is going on and what's about to happen moving forward.
So, this storm has taken out all that. So instead of bombs being used to blast this, like in World War II era, excuse me, guys, in World War II era, you would just simply try to run some bombers in there and you would try to blast it. And, here now, maybe in this era, because again, what we've gotten is that this war will unleash kind of out into the open all sorts of weaponry that's only been whispered. You're going to see. We already saw laser defenses. Now, they even tell us, get used to it. This is the way it is. You're going to see lasers. So, instead of rockets being shot up in the air to take out incoming, rockets, all you're going to do is just see pulses of light shooting off into the air and hearing explosions. this is the next wave. This literally, this is the next wave. The next wave is using the weather to take out the defenses that were put into place. And so, to me, this seems kind of obvious. I understand, again, there's a lot of different things in play at the end of a particular age, but truly we are at the beginning of a newer age, and this age is going to involve all sorts of revelations about the reality that has been being exposed very, very quickly. The fact that our reality is it's just been an illusion. It's been a construct. Everything is going to be revealed. That is one of the very definitions of the apocalypse. So again, you see, this is done perfectly. What it would have taken bombing runs, etc., to do with just water. And again, water is so powerful, and flooding is the thing that causes more deaths typically than anything else. So now the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group completed a transit of the Strait of Hormuz, and it's now entering the Persian Gulf. That feels pretty ominous to me. Right off the coast of Iran, by the way. And is it a sitting duck now? So we're just watching all this. It's tense times going on. By the way, here's a railway in the area. So you would also want to disrupt, again, any sort of rearmaments, refueling, sending, obviously just basic supplies to troops, to areas. That's all disrupted with this weather. And, the bigger play is still afoot, with the chess pieces moving from one area to another. Incredible to see what's gone on, and multiple people bringing up the flooding in Kherson from the Kakhovka Dam being blown up. So again, is it an act of God? Is it Mother Nature? Or is it technology? My thoughts and my feelings are that so many things that we've taken to be acts of God, acts of nature, are really technological in origin.
Well, very much so. To the point where this feels like, they put 10 meters or 33 feet in parentheses, and that's just, they're bragging at this point. They're really pointing it out. They're highlighting it. They're doing everything they can to get a reaction. It's like they're saying, bring it. And this feels like they planted their flag there and they said, well, okay, it's on, which is really concerning that they're so open and this is so destructive, because usually when things like this happen, somebody hits back twice as hard, at least. So we'll see.
So yeah, very, very interesting signs of the times. So we have the U.S. Navy responding after militants seized another Israel-linked oil tanker off of Yemen. There's been several, and actually U.S. got one back. This has been ongoing, as we know. Yemen is one of the countries. Well, it's the first one to basically declare war on Israel, and it is probably one of the weakest countries at the same time. And there's just purpose behind all these things that we see. And we still see, even though there's this great unveiling going on, unraveling, and the public is most definitely awakening. However, still a little bit too slow. They're still moving forward with everything that they've planned for gosh knows how long. It probably would boggle most people's minds to realize that things are plotted out literally hundreds, if not even thousands of years ahead. But a day to the Lord is as if 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as if a day. And everything that's been made to look like it's an act of the Creator is, in fact, not always the case. And most of the time, it's just simply beings with higher technologies. And So, it makes sense when you're looking in timelines of things, as there are more channels out there now talking about extraterrestrial interdimensional reality of all sorts of beings around us all the time. It's just a matter of time before people can see through all the illusions. But alas, some will choose to still ignore and just, not take that quote unquote red pill and just kind of like, well, I like where I'm at, and I'm just going to la di la la la, I can't hear you, as all the revelations come out. So you have your travel being restricted by personal carbon allowances. And many have even said that, and we've said, many have said that there's going to be very little airplane travel for most humans. And again, we've shared that we view a time coming not too far off, really, where there won't be any airplane travel by humans. And, here you go. Travel extinction. A sustainable future for travel warns of travel extinction. Yeah, and of course they're blaming it on, climate change, which is this is their modus operandi forever, and we understand that it's just a means to an end. But then you have Connecticut City, Stamford, Connecticut, rejecting 5G, citing evidence of health risks. They voted to reject an agreement that would have allowed telecommunications carriers to install 5G equipment on city-owned utility poles. Now, they're already all over everywhere, but still, it is something that makes you note. It makes you raise at least one eye and say, huh, are we starting to wake up? It does feel that there is some sort of change in energy that's trying to gain traction. We talked about this. Estonia has rejected all attempts at a power grab by the WHO, and they're not going to consent to the pandemic accord. And then we see Slovakia is following suit. If we transfer health powers to the WHO, then we would be at the mercy of their draconian health system decision-making process. So says the Prime Minister. May he have a long and healthy life. Right. Yeah. Live long and prosper. Yes. And then we have this. This is Ireland's Green Party senator.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good.
Yeah, she says the common good, but we know how that looks throughout history. Land barons, robber barons, lords and ladies have always, they've conscripted fine young men to go off to fight wars for the kings and the queens and, the lords and the ladies, and they've never come back. And if they refuse to fight, they were often killed on the spot. This is the same system, and she is quite clearly, in a cog in the wheel, let us say. And here you go. This is Elon, so we have to be very aware of those that seem to be ascending to positions of very great influence and power. Not that he had not already been there, in the eyes of many a teen, perhaps. He is an idol in so many ways. He says language being proposed as law in Ireland means this could literally happen to you for having a meme on your phone. Literally finding a SWAT team coming on in when you make a meme in Ireland. There they go. So, obviously if we were in Ireland, we would be in trouble. Well, again, Elon is proposing putting technology into people's skulls, into their brains. He is, part of, obviously, he's the head of SpaceX, X Nibiru, yes, X marks the spot, all right. So it's just another ploy. Like this. Like 45 riding a Draco. Well, it looks like a Velociraptor. But still, look at this. The American flag and just shooting away. The symbolism. You can't beat the symbolism. And again, so many there was a time when half the people watching this channel, when we got more views before being, so restricted, or we'd possibly push some away too, because we just mentioned the fact that no. And I'll reiterate it again. There are no billionaires that are not in the system. There is no way anybody could become a billionaire and not be part of the system. That's just, it's an impossibility. And some people, take exception to that. And of course, many of them are on the payroll.
Definitely. And going back to Elon for just a moment, putting chips in people's brains and then glorifying it, making it a good thing, making it a happy thing, finding any reason and every reason why this is a good thing. Yeah, no, that's not okay. If that's not a controlling force, I don't know what is. They already have enough. When it comes to sound and vibration, there's already enough coming through just our routers that really can change people's moods. And then I was looking at this, and this was really cute, because most people are just going to look at it and say, oh, it's just Trump on a Raptor. It doesn't mean anything more. But I don't know. We'll see. A lot of symbology today. It feels like things are kind of ramping up a notch. Things are changing. We'll see where this brings us. I kind of feel like today is very pivotal, especially seeing the water and seeing the symbology on the water and how they announce it, how they talk about it. That's definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I just don't see anybody riding a Draco. I think Draco ride people. It's not the other way around. Right. And this is trying to give you the impression that it could be the other way around. I've noticed a couple new channels that do amazing stuff with animation, talking about the Anunnaki and talking about Nibiru. And again, I don't know how much of them are part of the system, being created by the system, or if it's some channeling and some intuition, some guesswork, just simply going by what they've studied. But again, there is this tendency to always have a good cop, bad cop thing going with Enlil and Enki, and the reality is, again, they are both those energies are conquered by the darkness and have always been. So picking the lesser of two evils is something that at times we get forced to do, but again, the lesser of two evils is not good.
No, it's not.
Absolutely. And again, welcome comments, and as always, guys, we want to thank you guys for your insight. This is very interesting. Carved caves. We've seen places like this in deserts. And, just because it's a desert now, it wasn't necessarily a desert before. This is in Tibet. And so I asked Cindy to search into this. What do you sense and feel?
This was probably one of the most beautiful places on the planet, full of beings who had a common understanding, who all were like ascending together, exploring consciousness together, have a deep understanding of how the world works, being people that could be in this 3D world, but still have that higher understanding. Very, very gifted, very, very talented, very humble, very insightful. This was a beautiful, beautiful place at one time. Something of a paradise, truly a paradise on earth. I really loved the energy when I did feel into it. It's like, oh my gosh, I was going, into a sauna or something. It's just like walking into something where you can breathe deep and you can rest and you can relax, and you knew everything was going to be okay. So sometimes, when you channel into things, it feels really good, and sometimes not. But this one was really a wonderful experience.
Absolutely. And look at this cute guy. He's coming to the rescue.
Indeed.
As always, guys, source bless and namaste.
Namaste.